Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at a used office PC that I recently picked up on eBay, which in my opinion I think is actually one of the best deals that you can do right now if you're looking for a mini PC to use as a desktop, emulation, and light gaming. So what we have here is an HP Elite Desk 705 G4. This is actually powered by a Ryzen APU, and whenever I come across a deal like this on eBay or any other site, I post it in my community section. It looks like they had about 65 of these available, and I did a best offer on it. I was able to get this for $223 shipped to the door. Came with a power supply, it's got an M.2 SSD, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's definitely not the most powerful mini PC that you can buy, but for the price here, I think this is actually a really good deal, and we will be seeing more of these with the 2000 series APUs and even the 3000 series APUs, but with the 3000 you'll be spending a little bit more. The only thing I had to do to this unit was install an operating system because it came with a wiped M.2 SSD, and I went with Windows 11, but you could always install Linux if you want to. So taking a look at the internals here, it didn't come with a hard drive bracket, but we do have that M.2 right here. It's a 256 gigabyte. You can always add an extra hard drive, but you will need the bracketing system and the cable. We also have a spot for a Wi-Fi/Bluetooth card, and it's really easy to get to the RAM here. This came with 16 gigabytes running in dual channel, so we have two 8 gig sticks here right underneath the fan. So setup on this is very basic. As you can see, there's not much to it at all, but it does perform quite well for the price paid and the form factor of this little unit, coming in at about 1 liter. Taking a look at the I/O, up front here we have USB Type-C, two USB 3.0 ports, our audio in and out, and of course we have our power button with a little power LED indicator. Moving around back, we get 4 more USB 3.0 ports, gigabit Ethernet. This one happened to come with VGA and 2 display ports, but you might find that some of these might come with an HDMI port. And if not, it's really easy to add HDMI. I just used a simple, cheap HDMI to DisplayPort adapter that I picked up on Amazon. But like I mentioned, some of these might come with HDMI in place of that VGA. Another thing I wanted to add was Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so I have this little dual function dongle here that I picked up on Amazon. We've got Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 4.2. When it comes to the specs of this little unit, for the CPU we have the Ryzen 5 2400GE. This is the GE version, so it's only running at 35 watts instead of 65. We still get 4 cores and 8 threads, but the base clock and the boost is down a little bit. Base clock on this, 3.2 GHz with a boost up to 3.8. We've also got the built-in Radeon Vega 11 graphics up to 1240 MHz. 16 gigabytes of DDR4 running in dual channel, and a 256 gigabyte M.2 SSD. And like I mentioned, you can run Windows or Linux on this. I just happened to install Windows 11 because I had a USB drive ready to go. And by the way, for anybody wondering, yes, this did come with a power supply. It's a 65 watt power supply, and when picking one of these little units up, just make sure you get that PSU included. Alright, so here we are up and running with Windows 10 Pro. As you can see, this unit is definitely small. It's coming in at about 1 liter, and it's not as small as some of the other PCs we've taken a look at, but it doesn't take up much space at all. So far, everything's been really smooth, and I can tell you that we are going to take a hit on performance when it comes to this 2400GE versus the regular G, because we're only running this at 35 watts. But for the price right now and form factor, I'm definitely not complaining, because using this as an everyday desktop would work out just fine, even doing photo editing. But here we have a little bit of web browsing going on. Everything loads up really quickly. I also wanted to test a little bit of video playback from YouTube, and with this chip here, we do have more than enough power to do 4K. There's no doubt about it. If you wanted to use something like this as a little media center, you're going to get really great performance with 4K, 1080, 720, 4K 60 here. Our viewpoint is at 1080 given my screen here, but this is a 4K 60 video, and we've only got 7 drop frames, and that's really from the initial load-in. As a cheap, secondary, everyday desktop, this is going to work out fine for email checking, web browsing, video playback. As you can see, it would even handle some 1080p video editing just fine. I wouldn't go with 3 4K streams on this thing, but if you wanted to do a simple home video at 1080p 60, you'll have no trouble editing it. After testing out web browsing and 4K video playback, I did run some benchmarks, and the first one being Geekbench 5, single core 925, multi 2538. Moving over to some GPU benchmarks with 3D Mark Wildlife, this is a Vulkan benchmark, 5,273, and finally, Night Raid with a 7,565. So we're definitely not going to win any benchmark awards with this mini PC, but now I want to see how it handles real-world gaming. And the first game I tested was very simple. We've got Minecraft here, 20 chunks, fancy graphics on. Got a couple dips here and there down to 59, but I probably wouldn't ever notice this if I didn't have that frame counter on. It does handle Minecraft really well. Next up, we've got Skatebird. I've actually been playing this a lot lately on my Xbox. It's actually pretty fun, but I thought we'd get a little better performance out of this. I did have to drop it down to 900p medium, and to tell you the truth, low medium is probably the way to go with this. We get those dips under 60. Another lighter game I've been enjoying lately is the Art of Rally. We're at 1080p medium settings, and I got an average of 72 FPS. Looking really good here, fully playable, and it's such a great game. If you were able to play this at the maximum settings, I mean, it's actually a really beautiful game. And finally here, the original Skyrim. We're at 1080p medium settings, and kind of just like Skatebird, I figured we'd get much better performance out of this. We get dips into the 40s at 1080p medium, so 900p on something like this, maybe with a low-medium mix, should be good to go. But I gotta say, where this little machine really shines is emulation. First up, we have PSP using PPSSPP, 4x resolution, DirectX 11 backend. This is going to run any game that's compatible with said emulator. I mean, you're going to get really good performance, especially with DirectX 11. Even the harder to emulate stuff is fully playable at 4x, and with the easier to run stuff, you can go way up. But here's a harder one. We've got Midnight Club Dub Edition. Really hard game to emulate on lower end chips, but we're still at 4x with that DirectX 11 backend. I also tested Vulkan, and I was getting the same performance, but when it comes to OpenGL, with something like this, I had to drop it down to 2x, because with these 2000 series Ryzen chips, at least in my experience, they don't do very well with OpenGL. Next up, we've got some GameCube using the Dolphin emulator, 1080p DirectX 11. These little chips do handle the Dolphin emulator really well. Now there are some games you have to drop it down to 720p, but a majority of the stuff is playable at 1080. And if we take a look at Afterburner up in the top left hand corner, we're pulling close to 15 watts out of the CPU. Not bad at all. And this is one of my go-to tests. Taking it up to 1080p on lower end chips really does stress it out, but as you can see, we got full speed here. Same thing with the Wii games I tested, using the same emulator, DirectX 11, 1080p, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, full speed. So when it comes down to it, this is a great little setup for GameCube and Wii emulation. I also tested some PS2, and I was actually really surprised here. We're at 1080p DirectX 11 with Bloody Roar 4, looking great, but there are some games I had to take it down with, like Gran Turismo 4. That was one I just couldn't do 1080p with. It was down in the low 50s, so I had to drop that down to 720p. But overall, really impressed with the PS2 performance out of this little chip here. I know in the past we've done a lot of testing with the 2400G, but that's a 65 watt part. This is only running at around 18 watts with PS2 at 720p here, Gran Turismo 4. But right now we're using Windows to do this, and we do have access to that DirectX 11 backend. In my experience, I've had much better emulation on Windows with these older 2000 chips than I have with Linux, but that's not going to stop you from installing something like Batocera or RetroPie. So what I have here is Batocera running from a USB drive. You could install this to an internal drive. Everything's working. I'm getting display over that display port. As you can see, I did have to go into the settings and swap over the audio output, but it is working over that display port right now. And real quick, you can see we have that 2400 GE. So it'll be really simple to set this up as a nice little emulation console. You could even have this set up so you can dual boot and just run everything from an external drive and have Windows on the internal. But like I mentioned, I've always had much better luck with the higher end emulators in Windows due to DirectX 11 support. With this here, you'll only have access to Vulkan and OpenGL for the emulators that support it, but there's still thousands and thousands of games that are going to be fully playable on this machine with Batocera. So in the end, I do think that picking one of these up would definitely be worth it if you have a use case for it. Emulation, like gaming, you need a replacement desktop, it's going to be just fine. If you want to spend more money, I would go with something with a Ryzen 5000 series or wait till the 6000 or 7000 series mini PCs come out. But given the price of this, form factor and performance, I do think it's a pretty decent deal. And we will see more of these listed up on eBay with the 2000 and the 3000 series APUs, especially these small form factor units. Now, I'm not exactly sure if Dell made any with the Ryzens, but I know that Lenovo, and for sure, as we saw in this video, HP has some. And if you're looking for a small form factor Ryzen powered mini PC to tinker around with, then this might be a really great option. I will leave a few links in the description, but that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you want to see anything else running on this unit, just let me know in the comments below. And like always, thanks for watching.